This conference will now be recorded.
Hey, welcome everyone. So in this segment, we'll look at the type of requirements that you would get to deal with as a business analyst. Okay, so what we see, the set of requirements mentioned in the slide would be just a very high level set of requirements. We'll of course, I'll also mention what are the other type of requirements that you would have to work around with in any given project. Okay, so starting with at a very high level, you have the business requirements. So these business requirements are defined at the project level. Okay, for example, if we talk about the same food delivery app, the business requirement can be that, okay, we want to come up with a mobile app which allows the online food delivery option in six major cities in India by the end of this year. Now, that could be a business requirement. Or if that app is already there, then the business requirement could be that, okay, we should increase the monthly orders by say 30% within next 8 months. Okay, so this is what would be the level of the requirement when you say it's a business requirement. It comes at the organization level of your client. Okay, and as a BA, of course, you will not be the one who will be able to share any inputs into it. This is something which would have already got decided before the project gets assigned. The next set of requirement would be the stakeholders requirement. So your business requirement drills down into different sections or different divisions of your client's company, wherein every division which is there, they will own this business requirement, and then they will come up with how they want to achieve this particular objective. Okay, so here it could be that the finance division, the marketing division, the procurement division, the admin division, the IT division, or the advertising division. So all of these divisions will then look at this major objective and see how they have to define requirements for their own sections which can help in achieving this one. Again, the role of a BA here also would not be there, or it would be quite limited. You will not have much of a say as an IT business analyst in defining these stakeholder requirements. Where your contribution actually starts is with the next level of requirements, which is nothing but the solution requirements. So when you talk about solution requirements, this is about a set of stakeholder requirements being handed over to you, and now you have to define to build a solution which can help in achieving these requirements. So the solution requirements will be split again into functional, and the other thing is of course the non-functional requirements, right? So now let's get into a little bit of details of what are these functional and non-functional requirements. So the functional requirements are like, the again, going back to our food delivery app, for example, the heart of the app is what gets defined when we talk about the functional requirements, because these are the ones which talk about the features that make it work. To be more clear, it could be like, for example, I may say that one of the requirement is for the user to be able to browse or search for a list of restaurants in a given city. Like customer mentions, this is my city, say Hyderabad. Now within Hyderabad, what are the restaurants available that the customer should be able to see in the app? Now when I say this is a requirement, this is the functional requirement. Okay, because this tells what is the functionality of that app. Similarly, if the other requirement is that a user should be able to select a specific food item and add it to the cart, or if I say that the payment should be processed within the app for this particular food product that has been selected by the customer, or if I say that the delivery of that particular food product to the doorstep of the customer should be, it should be possible to track this delivery of the food product from the restaurant to the customer's doorstep. Now, all of these are the functional requirements. These define what should be part of your mobile food delivery app, right? So that is what defines the core functionality, and that becomes your functional requirements. Okay, and these make the app more and more valuable and usable for the customers. Then what are the non-functional requirements? Now imagine, the quality aspects. For example, if I say that the app responsiveness, like when I click on submit in the app in a particular given screen, then it should take me to the next screen within zero point 0.3 seconds. For example, this is the way you define a requirement. Now, what will happen if it takes 1 second or 2 seconds to move from this one screen to another screen? Still, your app is working, okay? But what happens is it affects the customer's experience of using the app, and customer might feel, okay, this app is not that good. I might as well use the other food delivery app, right? And similarly, it could be about the data privacy, like whatever information you're entering, your customer data which is there, it should be private, it should be confidential enough, it should not be possible for any hacker to get access to these details. Now this becomes a non-functional requirement. Similarly, there could be, like, the aesthetics, the look and feel of your app, right? That is something. And how scalable is your app? For example, initially when the app is launched, it was being used by, say, 1,000 customers and everything was working fine, and then maybe a few months down the line there are 10,000 customers. But now when you as an individual customer, when you open the app, it is you know it is becoming sluggish. It is taking more time to process your uh, selection of food items and all those things. So this affects your experience again, right? So this is talking about the scalability. The solution was not scalable enough, because of which it is getting impacted. So these all form the non-functional requirements. In fact, to give you more information, actually there is something called as of course you may be knowing. So if you go to Wikipedia and if you search for non-functional requirements, you'll find a very lengthy article. In that, one section talks about what all can be the different type of non-functional requirements. So this list has been pulled out from that itself. So if you see accessibility, adaptability, availability, the disaster recovery, documentation, durability, efficiency. So there are n number of non-functional requirements. Obviously, you will not have to really factor in all of these non-functional requirements into your project. Only a subset of it, maybe four or five or something like that, would be required at max in any given project. If it is really a bigger project and all, there could be more of NFRs coming into picture. But this gives you an idea, like what are the different things that could be possible in terms of non-functional requirements that you need to consider in a typical software application related project. Okay. So these all are, again, for example, disaster recovery. What does it mean? It is nothing but you should have a set of uh, servers and architecture readily available to fall upon when your initial set of servers and all are, not working because of some reason. Now, let's say, for example, all of your data, information, servers and all are based out of Bangalore in India. Now, if something happens, if there's a power outage in Bangalore all of a sudden, or if there's a flood-like situation, or if there's some other activity which impacts your, the data centers, then what happens? The entire Does it mean that your app should not function as long as that situation is resolved? No. So what you do is you have a plan B. You make a replica of all of that information and place it in some other physical location, so that you can immediately switch to that alternate set of servers and data center that you have, so that the work will still happen. The app will not be impacted because of this sort of any issue which is happening at the primary center. But again, once the issue is resolved, you can switch back to that. So this is something which happens in disaster recovery, which is a default thing which is expected in some core applications related to banking or healthcare, etc. So again, this is a NFR, non-functional requirement. Okay, so you can get into this wiki article and you can get more details about each of these requirements, how it impacts and other things like that. And here, when you're working in a particular project, when you're focusing on non-functional requirements, you will be getting a lot of support from your testing manager, because the non-functional requirements are not specific to your domain or to your one single project. That's the reason a lot of these could be something which could be part of some other project, which can be more of learnings from other projects can be used here and vice versa. Okay, so that's about the non-functional requirements. And then you have something called as transition requirements, which is nothing but, if you remember, in one of our initial sessions we discussed about the as is and to be scenario, right? So there is a gap analysis that happens, like you compare what is the current state of a particular application and what would be the to be state. Now this shift that has to happen from your as is to the to be state, right? Whatever is the gap in between that. So when you try to fill that void, what are the different requirements that you need to consider? For example, think about a particular project where you're focusing on automating a set of activities that are happening in a process within the company. Okay, when this has to happen, you need to understand what is the current state, how it is getting done manually, and what is the future state, to be state, where it has to be completely automated, and what needs to be done in order to make this shift. Maybe you need to have uh, a proper tech setup. Maybe you need to have a proper backup plan in case if this automation doesn't work, switch back to manual. All these things would be coming as part of your transition requirements. Okay, now having said this, again, are these the only set of requirements that you need to really focus upon or be aware of when you're working in a typical project? There are few additional requirements that can be coming up as in how you work in a specific project. For example, uh, there could be data requirements. What do I mean by that? In our app again, uh, how do you handle the user data? How is the order history maintained? And how the payment details, getting stored? What are the different databases that you're creating for it? How are you mapping between those, multiple databases? And all of these things can be part of the data requirements. Sometimes there could be some sort of regulatory requirements. For example, again, if you talk about the food app itself, uh, how do you ensure the secure handling of the payment information? And how do you ensure that the order which has been created by the customer is, getting served within the given time frame that should be followed as per the local rule of the law at that particular region and things like that. So that could be part of your, or how do you maintain the these things? These could be part of your regulatory requirements. There could be some user requirements also, like for example, when you talk about this app, how intuitive is the navigation? Like, do you really need to does the customer has to really spend a lot of time to understand how to use the app, or is it really very easy for the customer to understand and keep using right from the first time? So how intuitive is it, or how quickly can you order, or how secure is the payment? So these can be the user requirements. Similarly, there could be some reporting or analytics requirements. For example, um, tracking the user behavior, or tracking the order trends. For in the food app, for example, uh, at which point of time in the day is there a higher demand for a specific type of food item? Some food items will be ordered more frequently in the evenings, whereas some other food items may be ordered more frequently in the mornings. And there will be some food items which are more in demand in a specific city, while there is another item which is ordered more frequently in another city. So, having an idea of these user trends and all, order trends and all, this will help the business in terms of serving the customers the right way. So all these things can be done as part of the analytics. So there could be a requirement of focusing on these reporting and analytic requirements uh, from the beginning itself. So this could be one thing. And so what I mean to say is that there are a lot many other type of requirements which can be coming up, which are specific to the type of project that you're working upon. But at a very high level, if you see, your functional and non-functional requirements would be the major ones that you should be focusing on in a given project. I hope things are clear. Of course, if anything needs to be discussed in detail, or if you want any other explanation or examples, then we can discuss it in the one-to-one interaction that we can have. Okay, so that marks the end of the requirements related session. We'll meet again with the next session. Thanks everyone.